Debbie Abrahams has been our Member of Parliament for more than 2 months now, and to find out how she's been getting on, I've come here to Upper Mill on this glorious spring day to meet her. So Debbie, you've had a few weeks now as our MP. How's it been?
It's been great, it really has. Everybody's been incredibly welcoming, on all sides of the House to be fair. Lots of very important issues to debate, and this is why I wanted to get into Parliament, to make sure that the views and interests of my constituents are being represented. So I'm trying to do that as effectively as I can. Obviously we've got health as a key one. We've also had the education bill and the welfare reform bill, so I've made contributions to those debates.
And how have you found Westminster so far? I mean, how have you found the whole culture of the place? Has it been as you expected?
I didn't have any expectations really. It is very well, it is a very slick machine, so you're well looked after. I had an office almost straight away, although I know that there were some issues with people getting hold of me because we had the wrong details in the website, so I want to apologise to everybody if they've had difficulties in getting in contact with me, but those have been sorted out. And the history and the culture of the place, absolutely, you know, every day I go in and think, wow, what an honour, what a privilege.
So what are some of the issues that you've been hearing about from your constituents so far in surgeries and in letters and things like that?
A whole range of issues. Not surprisingly, possibly because of the health bill being so much in everybody's vision, but I've had lots of health ones, some immigration issues. Also talking about transport, I was contacted by the Friends of Manchester Huddersfield Line, and they want to raise issues around there, but a whole range of things, and as I say, health is coming up quite a lot.
Now, you made health the theme of your maiden speech in Parliament, and you've contributed in Parliament since then. I mean, for people who haven't really followed the issues around the bill, what are your concerns about it, and how might the plans affect an area such as this?
It is the most significant piece of health legislation since the 1946 Act. So since the establishment of the NHS, this is the biggest piece of legislation. And the key thing, and the thing that I'm absolutely outraged is it removes for the first time the duty of the Secretary of State for Health to actually provide healthcare services for England. So it takes away that prime duty to have a universal and comprehensive service for everybody in England. That's gone. If this bill goes through, that won't happen anymore. The second issue, which is absolutely key, is about care being free based on need, not on the ability to pay. Again, within the new legislation, that there is the opportunity for what we call the NHS board, who has a responsibility to deliver, provide and deliver services, and GP consortia, and they have the power to raise money. Now, again, there's the thing called designated and non-designated services. Whatever they are, we don't know. We still haven't had the detail, but possibly a non-designated service could be one where we actually have to pay, and those could be services that are not particularly profitable. It's opening up the NHS to privatisation, and we have to think about the culture and the ethos of the NHS that we want. Is it about this is a public service in the interests of everybody, my constituents, or is this for the opportunity of making money?
Now, one other issue that you've mentioned already that people have contacted you about is the railway line,
Yes.
Manchester to Huddersfield, and there's all sorts of problems with overcrowding and
Yes.
questions about possible future investment there. What is your opinion on that? What's the state of play as far as that's concerned?
This is a very important issue. Again, on a daily basis, people are having to battle through being like sardines in a can. I watched the video clips that have seen people absolutely squished together. So what's been suggested to me around this is obviously overcrowding, but also around pricing. And what happens there is that people will commute to a journey across from West Yorkshire to my constituency to avoid having to pay those fares. Well, that's like nonsense. If we're trying to encourage people to use public transport, it's ridiculous. So these are the sort of things that need to be considered: the length of franchising, the rolling stock, and I have contacted the Secretary of State for Transport to raise these issues. We should be encouraging people to use. If people want to use the railway. So we should be encouraging them and making sure that we don't put up these ridiculous barriers.
Now, one thing that's happened since you've been elected is that Oldham Council has passed its budget for the coming year, £41 million of cuts in there. Have you had any discussions with the council? I mean, what's your view on the savings that they are making, and how you can go about perhaps mitigating the impact of some of those savings?
Yes, it is very concerning in terms of and not only in terms of the cuts that they're making to services, but what this means around employment to many of the public sector workers that are finding themselves either under threat or actually facing redundancy. So I'm very, very much at the fore of my mind, as well as the vulnerable members of my constituency. For example, people in receipt of care. I actually had a constituent who was very concerned, who came to see me in a surgery, that the care that he was getting, he's unfortunately blind, the care that he was getting, they were threatening to withdraw that, or a part of that. And whatever budget is passed, we need to make sure that fundamentally people who really need services aren't going to lose them. So I'm fighting very much for that.
Now, one particular item in the budget that was particularly controversial was the proposal to outsource some aspect of elderly care to the private sector. That's to do with what they call respite care, the sort of residential homes where people carers can get a break, and also the sort of home help visits. The council has said, well, it's the least worst option because there is a mature private sector that can step in and carry out these services. I mean, what's your view on that? Is it really the best that we could hope for in the circumstances?
I am concerned. At the end of the day, as I say, when you're looking at the ethos behind private care providers and why they are providing, there is a profit element in this. And I think wherever possible, we should be trying to provide our services within a public sector context, and I will be pushing for that. And if the council is moving from provider to commissioner, they need to get their act together in terms of what this means about monitoring contracts and making sure that they're effective and providing value for money.
Okay, then my last question really is, we're here on a beautiful spring day here in Upper Mill. You must be delighted to be our MP now and looking forward to representing this area in the future. Absolutely.
As I say, Richard, it's been an absolute honour and privilege. I don't feel I'm 100% there yet, but I'm working very, very hard, and I hope people will continue to get in contact with me and raise their issues with me so that I can be as effective as I can and represent their issues in Parliament and here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.